Hey everyone, Schaefer here, and I've just finished my playthrough of Resident Evil 4 Remake, and so I wanted to give you my thought, let you know what I thought, what was good, what was bad, and yeah, just talk through some of the game and give you a general idea of what it's kind of like. So I know a lot of people compare this to the original, and unfortunately I haven't actually played the original Resident Evil 4, so I can't really compare. However, what I did read online, or what I have seen around from critics and other people, it does seem like it's a pretty good remake compared to the original, but I mean, overall for me, I really enjoyed the game. It was a lot of fun. I mean, there was some frustrating moments for sure, but generally speaking, I had a really good time. I mean, the combat for me was great, the gunplay felt really nice. It got a little frustrating when enemies got up in your face because you kind of sometimes held the gun a little bit strange, and it was sometimes awkward just to get those shots in when they came up a little bit too close. Other than that, though, it felt really nice. The only caveat I would put in there is when it comes to bosses. Some of the bosses I found a little bit frustrating, and if you did watch my playthrough, you will see some of those moments where I do get a little bit frustrated, and that's mainly because some of the bosses, when they're attacking, you get the option to dodge with a prompt was E for me on the keyboard, or you can parry it with space, and you kind of use your knife to parry them away. But some of the bosses' attacks, they didn't really give you an option to press E or an option to parry with the spacebar. They just kind of automatically grabbed you or automatically hit you, and that kind of felt a little bit frustrating, with the only real method of avoiding that damage was to kind of run away from the boss, and that wasn't always necessarily possible. Didn't feel very good, and sometimes it was kind of a little awkward just to get so you're aiming and you drop your weapon to then run. By that time, Leon would just get hit by the enemy, and that kind of felt a little bit bad, with a couple of the bosses actually notably feeling pretty bad overall to fight and to defeat. So yeah, other than that though, I mean, that was like a couple of bosses that I felt really that frustrated on it. So generally speaking, it was really a lot of fun. So yeah, thumbs up for the combat and the gunplay from my perspective. I went with the bolt thrower actually quite early on, which I thought was an interesting choice, and honestly, it's really good. You fully upgrade it, does a lot of damage, it fires pretty quick, nice big clip when you reload. I think I had like 20 bolts in it at any given time. One of the things I did like about the bolt thrower was you could get your ammo back, so if you were low on resources or you needed to save up for ammo, the bolt thrower was a really good choice for that. I mean, if you have a better aim than me, you will also keep your bolts a little bit longer than I did. I tended to miss really easy shots and just send a bolt flying off the map where I would never be able to collect it ever again. So that was a little bit sad, but I'm sure a lot of other people will do a lot better than I did in that particular case. But generally speaking, yeah, the guns were a lot of fun. There was a lot of variety in them. You obviously progress through the game, more and more interesting ones do appear. There's a machine gun, there's a sniper rifle, there's an semi-automatic sniper rifle, and things like that. I never actually managed to get the rocket launcher. I believe it's a single shot rocket launcher, which is a little bit sad, but it was 160,000, which is quite a lot of gold in the game. I don't think I ever had that at any given time. I probably had way more than that overall, but I tended to spend it on upgrades or new weapons, so, you know, ultimately, from what I've seen online, though, it is a very good weapon. And moving on to the level design, I really liked the way the levels played, the levels looked, the feel was great. There was definitely a huge variety in it, and they all connected really well. There was nice pathways, good shortcuts. It felt really nice to get around, and honestly felt a lot like other remakes from Resident Evil and Resident Evil Village. A lot of it all connected and felt really nice for me, so I did enjoy it. Sadly, although I am kind of a person that likes to get a lot of the loot and a lot of the extra treasure and do a lot of the side content, I did miss a lot of the treasure in this playthrough, which is a bit of a shame, but I think I still managed to get a good majority of it, and I would definitely like to try and get more of it, but maybe another playthrough at some point. I don't know, we'll see. What I did find interesting is the side quests. I didn't expect there to be any kind of side quests in the game, and there was these blue leaflets that you could kind of pick up off the walls, and they would give you little side quests to kill or destroy a couple of medallions, or kill a crow. I think one of them was to get like a scratched gem or a scratched crystal. And yeah, they were okay. They were a solid okay. They weren't great, they weren't amazing, but they were just a solid okay. And the sad thing was, after like the first 5, maybe less than 5, all of them were just kind of the same repeated, just different lengths, different numbers of medallions you had to destroy, or you know, something similar like that. So nothing amazingly special, but hey, it was there, and it gave you a special resource that you could then spend on items only obtainable with that resource, which was again kind of interesting because there was some nice things in there. Like I think the stock buttstock for the Red 9 you got from this special resource, which was really quite nice. You couldn't have got it any other way. So, you know, I thought it was pretty good. And actually, talking about not having played the original RE4, again, I can't compare the stories, but for me, the story in this one felt good. I enjoyed it. It was kind of compelling, kind of standard RE stuff as well, with the typical kind of mutations and monsters all over the place. But again, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It had some really memorable characters. I really liked Leon. Obviously, Ada coming back from, I think it was 2. Don't quote me on that. And 2, I think it was 2. And the inclusion of Ashley. I don't think we've seen her before. But generally speaking, good characters, good gameplay, good story. I enjoyed myself. And actually, talking about the characters, Ashley's voice actually quite stand out for me. I thought the voice actor for that character was really, really well done. But she looked great, acted great. It was a good component to the game. And when you had to do the kind of there were certain parts of the game where you had to do companion sections where Ashley would just follow you around the map. And while I did find some of it a little bit frustrating because she kept getting, like, the enemy would focus on abducting her and taking her away, and that does sometimes get a little frustrating. But honestly, other than that, it wasn't too terrible. And obviously, I made it a lot worse because when you try and save Ashley after she's being carried away from the enemy, you can actually kill Ashley instead of the enemy. That did happen with me a couple of times, but you know, it is what it is. I tried my best, and just sometimes it didn't work out too well. She also couldn't get hit very often. I think one hit would sort of put her into a down state, and if she was hit again, she would be killed. That would be a game over. Most of the time, I think that happened once for me, and I think it was me that killed her anyway. But it's neither here nor there. The point is, it's a thing. Doesn't really matter. It's okay. But other than that, I thought it was fine. I thought it was an interesting component to the game, and I didn't mind it too much. But actually, talking about the characters and the voice actors, the dialogue in RE4 did feel in some areas a little bit off. The opening intro for me was probably the most glaring, but because I had a lot of recording issues before I even started properly playing the game, I had to play the intro probably 7 times, maybe more than 7 times. So I had to sit through that intro cinematic quite a couple of times. And the dialogue between Leon and the policeman in the car just feels really off. It just doesn't feel good at all. Doesn't sound good. Generally speaking, it does improve, and there are higher parts of the game than there are lower. So there's better part. There's more that's better than there is bad. But there are still parts where some comments or some lines, and you're sort of thinking, I mean, yeah, sure. I don't think I would say that, but it is what it is. But overall, it was okay. It was just okay. So, moving on from that into the difficulty, I tend to play a lot of my games on the hardest difficulties or the harder difficulties. I enjoy the challenge that brings. And in RE4 Remake, it did feel really good, the difficulty, with the damage you received, plus the enemies, how difficult they were to kill. Some of them did feel a little bit spongy, but honestly, wasn't that terrible. And even some of the tougher enemies in the game didn't actually feel... They took a lot of resources to kill for sure, but it didn't feel too much. So I quite enjoyed that, and that was quite nice to have. I was, however, surprised at the difficulty, the amount of resources I was able to get. I thought when I picked hardcore, I was kind of expecting to be having to scavenge every single corner of the map to get enough resources. But I mean, I do that anyway when I play this kind of game, so maybe that's why I didn't really feel the difference. But I was always well stocked, and oftentimes actually finding myself having my case, my inventory, was completely full of resources. Usually with the exception of healing, but potentially was my fault. Anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, other than that, you know, the difficulty felt really good, it felt really nice. And I think I know that once you finish the game once, you unlock professional mode where you can do it again. And there's no auto-saving feature in the professional mode, and I think you can have all of the weapon unlocks in professional mode, which is, again, quite interesting. I haven't tried it, I haven't played it, perhaps I will at some point. But yeah, overall, really good, really challenging game. I definitely recommend for those that have played the other Resident Evil remakes, especially the Resident Evil games, very familiar with them. Hardcore is definitely where it's at. I think that's certainly the best difficulty. What I didn't expect in this game as well was the shooting gallery. So there's a shooting gallery, and you can just go and you just have objectives to achieve. So you'll have to kill a certain number of shoot a certain number of enemies within a certain number of time, a certain time frame, and achieving a sub-goal, like kill enemies, all of enemies with 10 bullets or less, for example, will open up a bonus round where loads of chests spawn and other things, and you shoot those for extra points and extra loot. And you're rated at the end for how well you did, down to up to S rank, and getting all of the objectives in there, all the sub-objectives per shooting gallery, gives you more of these coins, silver and gold, essentially silver and gold coins. And then what you can do is you can use these silver or gold coins to trade in for case charms. And the cases and the case charms was something I completely didn't know existed, so that was new for me, again, not playing the original. I don't even know if it's in the original, I'm guessing it is. But anyway, the cases and the case charms I thought was a really nice addition to the game. So the cases you could pick would give you certain bonuses, and the charms would also give you certain bonuses. So for example, the chest I ended up playing with was one that would increase the drop rate of large resources, which can be used to make bullets and various other things. And I used charms in the end, which would increase the amount of ammo crafted for rifles, and I think it was handguns. When I crafted handgun ammo and rifle ammo, I had a chance to have more. And I also used a charm that granted me 50% additional HP on green herbs, so I got more health back from green herbs. And I thought it was a really nice touch to have in. I certainly didn't get all of the charms, I certainly didn't get all of the cases in the game, so there's probably other combinations that are better, or just different combinations, I guess. And for example, I had 2 charms which reduce the cost of repairing your armor and repairing your knives. And I tried to remember, although I failed unfortunately a couple of times, I tried to remember to equip that first before I went to the vendor to repair those items, so I would obviously pay less money for it. But you know, overall, I liked the idea of the charms and the cases and mixing those up to kind of come up with a nice combination of your own. And what facilitated this was the shooting gallery, because you got the coins. You could then put the coins into the vendor machine, and then the vendor machine would produce a charm for you to use. I think it was completely random. Well, obviously it was completely random, with a silver sort of ball that came out that seemed to be common items, and then a gold one that came out that was which was more rarer charms. I didn't see any other colour than those two. There is or not, I don't know. There could be a super rare one. Honestly, I don't know. But I liked the idea of it. It was fun, and it allowed me to kind of customise up some of my builds and what I was trying to do. Would have been nice to have one. Actually, I think I did have one at one point. It also allowed me to make more bolts for my thrower. Although I think I took that off at some point. I don't know why. Anyway, point is, it was nice, and I quite enjoyed it. So, yeah, that was a good addition for me. And so, you know, overall, you know, I had a good time with Resident Evil 4 Remake. I spent in the game probably close to 30 hours overall, but my actual clear time I think was around 17 hours 40, something like that. And for me, that's certainly the longest Resident Evil Remake out of 2 and 3. So that's good in my book. It's definitely value for money, definitely a lot of fun. Obviously, the extra additional time was me dying a lot, or me restarting, or me redoing parts of the game, you know, and the intro, because I had trouble with recording, spent hours just trying to get that correct in the first place. So, yeah, there it is. So, to close out here, to kind of close this off, Resident Evil 4 Remake is a great remake. I really enjoyed it, I really had a good time, I highly recommend it. I do look forward to other possible remakes, but seeing as how the next one is RE5, I'm not sure if any of us want a remake of that one, but hey, you never know. But honestly, I would like to see more of these kind of remakes, because I think it's great, and it was a lot of fun. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my playthrough. If you have watched it, if you haven't, go and watch it. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.